When did you start officiating? How many years ago has it been, and how long has this run been for you?
This is my 47th year.
47 years.
Yes, I started out originally with football, basketball, track, and baseball. After about 5 to 6 years of baseball, I said, I can find better things to have fun with. And then, of course, 35 years ago, that's when I went to volleyball. And then, because my wife gave me a choice, she says, 4 I'll accept, 5 I won't accept. So that's how I got into the 4 I'm in right now.
It's not the easiest hobby in the world, Muggs. I mean, as you well know, because there are people on a nightly basis who want a piece of you or whatnot. What do you owe the longevity to? Why have you just stuck with it?
Well, first, have fun. I try to have fun, and I know if I'm having fun, the kids are having fun. And I'll be honest with you, I don't worry too much about coaches. I really don't worry too much about it. As long as the kids are having fun, that's the important thing to me, And that's basically how I've done it. You've been around me enough at like, especially, the 2 sports I really like are volleyball and track. Track more so than any other sport, because I can shoot the breeze with them, the kids, have a good time, laugh and everything, and nobody will say a word. But you do some of the other sports, and they say, oh, he's going to give them a break. And, and so that's why I really love track. I get down there at the start of the 100 meters. The only one that's down there is the kids and myself. And, then I have a good time.
But your approach has always been, I mean, I've seen you before volleyball games. You always make it a point to go out and approach the girls and to have some fun with them. And I mean, I think I've been here 20 years and you've been doing it since I've been here.
Yes.
I mean, that was a conscious decision on your part to take advantage of the fact that this is a chance to meet that next generation, isn't it?
Yes. Oh, yeah, definitely. Well, I think it all goes back, or much of it goes back to me. I started out in education. That's why I went into it. I like kids. And then I lay all the blame on my refereeing to one person. And he's, of course, passed from now, Franny Kershka. He got me started, and I don't know whether my wife would want to shoot him first or whether I should or not, but he's the one that got me started. And John Lawson, another one, that were the first 2 that got me going. And then, of course, from there it just progressed. I've had it, and doggone it, I've been so fortunate to have good partners. There is, to enjoy it. If the guys you're working with aren't having fun, then I'm not having fun. And that's it. And we, you joke and laugh and kid, and when we get there, once you get on the field, you can be a little serious about it all, but you still got to be relaxed and have fun. I worry about many of the young officials that they take themselves a little too seriously as far as, I got to be this way and that way. No. The joy is the kids. That's what I miss right now. And of course, I made it. I went through a couple of games this year in volleyball, and I just couldn't stand up to it, to tell you the truth. So Julie, the gal I'm with now, Julie Kirsten, as far as volleyball, she has been a living doll. I mean, don't worry about it much. Come on, we'll get it covered, and we'll get it covered. And the coaches that are around, I've been around so long. A lot of the coaches are my former students. I got, the other night down at Southeastern, I made it through the first game, and we were on the second game, and I just said, I'm not feeling too good. Well, it was Schuyler County, Rushville. They were playing. And I noticed that Lana Porter, South Fulton coach, she comes in. So I just look over to her and I go, she came over and I said, Lana, I can't go anymore, will you? She said, yeah, she jumped right in there. And the other coaches, tremendous. They just do what you need to do, Muggs, and that's so. I've been treated so well. I mean, not all the time, but
Sure. A lot of people will look at Muggs and say, for 50 years you could have been working on your golf game, you could have been playing canasta, you could have had any other seemingly more friendly hobby in the world than being an official, but you've just continued to do it. You've done it with such enthusiasm. I think people wonder where that comes from. Why still 50 years later have you had the enthusiasm for this? When you do take some abuse that other people don't. Where does that come from, Muggs?
I'd like to know, really. I'd like to dish it out to a lot of people, but I always looked at it this way in refereeing, is the good Lord could be refereeing, and I guarantee you there would be people that would boo him. You know what I mean? That's just that simple. And so you just gotta take it, and I don't know, I've had such a good run, and I gotta mention, I probably shouldn't mention any particular schools, but I've had such a good run down at Quincy High School and Quincy Notre Dame. In fact, the other day I was going through some of my stuff, and first time I ever refereed down at Quincy Notre Dame was 1973, and it was one of their tournaments, and I was working with the first full-time basketball official, and John Weber, who's down in Florida now, and as I say, you keep some things, and so I've kept that, and I just, and over the years, I've been booed by the best of them at Quincy, Notre Dame. I mean, just outright booed, and you know what I like about it? After we're done, they don't scream, "Hey, Muggs, didn't like what you called, but we'll see you next time," and things like that.
Refresh my memory. Didn't they do a ceremony for you a couple of years at Quincy a couple of years ago, or was it at Notre Dame?
It was at Notre Dame, and that's kind of funny about that too, is that I think it was about, Charlie Houston hadn't died yet.
Right.
And so I had said, well, I didn't feel like I was up to the caliber of doing the tournament games like that, and I said, hey, time for me to let some of the younger, get the younger guys in there. So I told Bill Connell and Eric, and they said, oh, okay. Well, unbeknownst to me, they called my wife, they called Charlie Houston and his wife, Dana Nissen and his wife, and the two guys I was with at that time were working, Alan Thompson and Kim Freitag. So I don't know what's going on. I get down there. My wife, of course, she won't tell me anything, So
probably better to keep you in the dark.
Yeah, and so I get down there, and all at once, Bill Connell comes up. Come here, Muggs. I said, what's going on? He said, we got something for you, and that's when they gave me a big pair of glasses. Immaterial what they gave me. I'll be honest with you. It was just the idea that, I was being treated like a person, and then I think the most amazing thing was after that was there was a guy in the crowd, and I got to know so many people, but I don't know them by their name. That's my problem.
Sure.
You hear thousands of them, and afterwards he came up, Muggs, he says, I don't know about you. He says, I've been coming down here to Quincy Notre Dame basketball for years and years and years, and I don't think there's anybody that's ever been honored for being a basketball official at Quincy Notre Dame. And I said, well, that's what makes you feel good,
Well, but it's I know so there are people who will say it's just a sporting event, but you've had a big impact on countless young people for almost 50 years. Have you ever taken inventory? And I know it probably feels like your small corner of the world, but do you realize how many lives you've touched, Muggs?
Well, quite a few, I think, and I hope all positively. Yeah, I don't know how many thousands of athletic events I've refereed, and I hope if I could just influence one kid at each meet or each activity, it's all worthwhile. it is all worthwhile. And as I say, I know it sounds like, oh, he's thinking of, no, it's just, that's where I get my fun. That's where I get my fun out of it. And most of them, you know, you go through families. Grunwald girls at Carthage,
Gegenbachers, yeah.
Out of Quincy, Notre Dame, you know, I see all of them, and I've had a good, you know, and every one of them been pleasant and everything and having fun, and I just don't know how many kids I've seen in all the years. Probably, well, see, I did the junior high state track meet for 25 years.
Well, that had to be fun too.
Oh yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And it was at that time there were two. There was a large school and a small school. Most of those 25, and so I started both of them. So how many hundreds and hundreds of kids I got to see down there at junior high state. So it was great fun. It was just, I had a great time and everything else. And some of the people, I got to meet Walter Payton, and he came back 2 times. He was down at the state junior high track meet for his oldest boy, Jared, and I can't remember what his daughter's name was, but he was down there, and they brought him to the infield because in the stands he was mobbed. He did, in fact, the first time he was down there, the first race that Jared run, he didn't get to see it because all the people around him. So they brought him on the infield with me, and he was common as an old shoe. I tell you what, he was fantastic. He was one of the people that I would say that I've met that I really, really enjoyed.
Let's talk a little bit about your situation now, because I know this has to be hard for you because it's a change in your lifestyle, because you're going 5 nights a week.
Yes.
Yeah. So how hard has this been now to have to draw back? And you've done a really good job, Muggs. I think a lot better job than people thought that you would, of knowing what your limits are at this point.
Yeah.
Has it been tough for you?
Oh yeah, it's been real tough. Thinking in terms of, especially when I started this year, and I went to the first tournament, and we had somebody to cover it and everything. I couldn't do it, and I said, well, I think I did okay, but I know for sure I didn't give them the best, you know. And I can't, you know, if I can't give them the best, I don't want part of it, you know. And so that's basically the way I've had it. So what I've done.
What's your prognosis right now? I know you just found out within the last I guess 7 weeks, 8 weeks about the cancer. What's the prognosis, and kind of how are you feeling? Because I think a lot of people care and want to know how you're doing right now.
I don't have a choice but to be optimistic. My 3 daughters and my wife, if I'm not optimistic, they'll shoot me, you know. I don't think about that much, to tell you the truth. They said, well, when they originally diagnosed it, till then they said it was going to be, they'd say 6 months to a year. Well, I've talked to too many people and saw too many people that 6 months to a year and 8 years later they're still. So it's just a guess as far as what it's going to be. But hey, I'm looking. I honestly am planning that I can get back to my indoor track season come January. That's what my true plan is, so I can do the indoor and outdoor track season, and then we'll see what comes on beyond that. I don't know whether I'll be able to ever go back to football, because at 73 years old, well, you know what the problem is, same way with basketball. The last probably 8 to 10 years, the doggone schools added another foot or 2 foot onto the basketball court.
I think people have a hard time imagining what it would be like not having you with a gun, a starter's gun, because, I mean, you've been there as a stalwart from a favorite memories. Do you have any favorite memories that really stick out, Muggs? I mean, I know 50 years probably seems like a blink to you, but it is a long run. Anything that really you particularly remember in that run, and how have things sort of changed over the 50 years just for you as an official?
Well, the first thing I need to say on that is that, in my opinion, the kids haven't changed. You work with the kids, people say, well, they're harder to work. No, they aren't. You have fun with them, You work with them, they'll work with you. You know, you go to a track meet and say you need this or this. And you just grab a kid and say, hey, I need some help with this. They go get it, do it for you. If you just ask them. If you just ask them, they'll do anything for you, really. They like that. So as far as probably the most fun I've had is starting with junior high state track meet. Yeah, I did that for so many years, and still I do some college track up at Monmouth College indoor and that, and I really have fun with that. I have fun with the college kids too.
I got to ask you on that front too, Muggs, because you're probably as young a 73-year-old as I know. Has being around kids done that for you? Kept you young?
Definitely. I didn't have a choice. I really didn't have a choice. My 3 daughters and trying to keep up with them, and then we had 8 grandchildren, and staying up with them, I haven't had any problems staying up. You know, saying, okay, hey, here we go, and they like to needle grandpa every once in a while, but we have a good time. And that's, as I say, I suppose my life has been, I'm thinking in terms of, I want to think of all the good times I had, all the fun I've had, you know, and I know there's millions of people that haven't had a tenth of the fun I've had, so why not, you know, enjoy it and go back to it, and just the people you meet, the coaches you meet. You look at, excuse me, you look at a guy like, I go back as far like down at Jacksonville, their tournament down there. I think it's been going 30, 33, 35, whatever it is. And I met Larry Sample down there. And if you wanted an experience, have Larry Sample and Mike Chris on the bench for a volleyball game.
I can imagine.
Yeah, well, one was different, one was, you know, and of course, I'll be honest with you, as I say, very seldom do I take it personally. I just don't take it that way. I just, hey, they didn't like it, okay, we're going to go on for there. But now that, of course, Mike, being Barb's doing the coaching, I enjoy it. She's a lot prettier than he is. So I enjoy that. But, you know, guys like that, they go back so many years, you know, and I remember them, you know, and see them, and, hey, Bugs, how you doing? That's the biggest embarrassing thing, is wherever I go, I shouldn't say wherever, but most of the time I go someplace, and people come say, hey, Muggs, how you doing? And I'm thinking, help me. I don't know if, you know, at least get me around the town, you know, as far as that is concerned. And so that's, you know, but, you know, that's like the other officials, you know. I would want all the officials to go at it and have fun. Meet the people. They aren't going to bite you, you know. And take another coach. I look at Lonnie Lemon, and one of the fun times I had with Lonnie was Charlie and I were doing the Hannibal and Quincy Notre Dame game. Okay, well, they had decided that, I don't know what station was, that they were going to record it. Okay, so what they did was they went with Notre Dame and they went with Hannibal for the week before, and how it's all working up to it and that. And so we get to the ball game, Charlie and I, and I don't know who it was. Somebody came up to us and said, Charlie, Muggs, how about us putting you on tape? And Charlie says, no way. And I said, no way. But that night, the place was packed as usual, and that's when there was just two-man officiating crew. And as the out official, you always stood right in front of the Quincy Notre Dame bench when you were on that side down there. And I was, you know, do the normal one-on-one like that, and then I look over and there's Lonnie Lemon acting like he's chewing on my finger. You know, stuff like that. That's what I remember, you know.
Obviously, Muggs, you kind of touched on the need for thick skin, and you know that toughness. Does that help you now with what you're going through? I mean, just
yeah.
I mean,
And look at the lights. I got to look at the light side. You know, I think I'm going to make it. You know, and I'll fight it all the way. And I'm going to give it the McGinnis try as such, and we'll get through it. We'll get through it one way or another. You know?
Well, there are more games to work.
That's right. There's more games, and I got a lot of places I go and track, and there aren't enough track starters around. I'll tell you that right now. So I can't just leave them hands up, you know. So but I'll do that, and I'll make it one way or another. So that's what I plan on, fighting it all the way. And I tell you what, I've been so fortunate. I've gotten umpteen get well cards, you know, and everything's been by word of mouth.
Yeah.
By word of mouth, and you know, and so I get well cards and all of this, and some of them I can't read them to you, but
why does that not surprise me?
But you know, like just to have a fun time in that, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have a fun time all the way till I'm no longer going to have fun. Then, well, that's it. You know what I mean? But yeah, got to compliment you. You've made it fun for me.
Well, you've threatened me at every turn, but I've had no choice, Bugs. But the honor has been mine, my good friend.
Yeah,
it's been mine.
You know, where's Chris? I got to give him a hard time. You know? So that's
yeah. If I got to hear one more thing about the shine coming off my head, Bugs, I probably should get hazard pay.
Yeah. Well, I'll bring a cap up.